Oba Femi didn't say a word. And that's exactly why the entire WWE universe is losing their minds right now. Last night, on Raw, July 20th, the ruler stood tall in the middle of that ring, fresh off yet another dominant win. And instead of grabbing a microphone, instead of cutting one of his signature promos, he just stared dead into the camera, right at Brock Lesnar, right at Paul Heyman. And that silence said more than any 15-minute promo ever could. Because here's the thing, when a man who's been screaming, "Hell in a Cell is the end of Brock Lesnar" for weeks suddenly goes quiet, that's not nothing. That's a message. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why that look might be the most dangerous thing Oba Femi has done in this entire rivalry. But to understand why this moment hit so hard, we gotta rewind and look at exactly what led up to it. Because the road to that stare down has been building for months, and it's about to explode at SummerSlam. Let's set the scene. This whole saga kicked off back at WrestleMania 42, when Oba Femi did something almost nobody thought was possible. He beat Brock Lesnar, clean, decisively. Not a fluke, not a screw job finish, an honest-to-God beatdown. And Lesnar's reaction afterward was legendary in its own right. He didn't rage. He didn't demand a rematch on the spot. He took off his boots. He took off his gloves. He left them in the middle of the ring like a soldier laying down his weapon. Everybody in that arena, everybody watching at home, thought they had just witnessed the retirement of the Beast incarnate. Except retirement never sits right with a killer like Brock Lesnar. And a few weeks later, he was back. Not with an explanation, not with an apology, just with violence. He ambushed Oba Femi, reminding the entire roster exactly who he still was underneath all that so-called humility. That's when things got personal. Femi came out on Raw and got right in Paul Heyman's face, telling him to relay a message to his client. He said last time he was fighting to win. This time at Clash in Italy, he was fighting to kill the Beast incarnate. Strong words, confident words. He signed the contract right there on Heyman's chest, calling it the final chapter. And if you're new here, this is exactly the kind of story we live for on WrestleCore. So if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell, because we cover breakdowns like this the moment they happen. Now, Clash in Italy didn't go the way Femi wanted. Brock got the win. 7 F5s and everything. Femi still kicked out, still survived, but Lesnar walked away with the victory in that chapter. And most guys, after taking that kind of beating, would need weeks to recover. Not Oba Femi. The very next night on Raw, banged up, bruised, clearly still feeling the effects of the night before, he went out and won the opening match of the King of the Ring tournament anyway. That's when he grabbed the mic and delivered one of the most quietly terrifying lines of this entire feud. He reminded everyone the score was now tied, 1 win apiece. And then he said something that should have made Brock Lesnar nervous. He said, "I'm standing, I'm winning, I took your best shot, and I'm still here." Think about that for a second. 7 F5s. 7!
That's a move that's ended careers, that's put legends on stretchers. And Oba Femi didn't just survive it, he was back in the ring competing again less than 24 hours later. That's not just toughness, that's a message in itself. A physical one. And then Femi went and won King of the Ring. Add that trophy to his resume, add it to the momentum, and suddenly this isn't some rising star chasing a legend anymore. This is 2 apex predators standing on completely even footing heading into the biggest stage of the summer. WWE made it official. Oba Femi versus Brock Lesnar, Hell in a Cell, at SummerSlam. Inside that structure, there's no run-ins, no distractions, no shortcuts. Just 2 men. One built like a tank of pure destruction, the other a genuine physical anomaly who might be the closest thing this generation has seen to prime Brock Lesnar himself. This match has been called by insiders one of the most anticipated Hell in a Cell bouts in years. And after everything that's happened, it's easy to see why. So, that brings us to last night, July 20th. Raw kicks off, and honestly, the segment that led into all this started off almost like a comedy sketch. The Judgment Day, Dominic Mysterio, and Liv Morgan are hunting down Danhausen over a missing bag of money. Threats are made, Danhausen gets spit on, typical Judgment Day chaos. Later on, Danhausen shows up with an old doctor's bag, and it turns out he swapped the real cash for a bunch of fake Danhausen bucks. JD McDonough, furious, chucks the bag away without even looking where it's going. And wouldn't you know it, that bag smacks Oba Femi right in the face as he's walking by. Now, if you know anything about the ruler, you know that was the worst possible person for that bag to hit. Femi turns around, calm, deliberate, and asks McDonough one simple question. Does this bag belong to him? McDonough tries to explain it away, tries to pin it on Danhausen, but the damage was already done. Adam Pearce, presumably sensing an opportunity and probably enjoying every second of it, makes the match official right then and there. Judgment Day needed to face the consequences. And the consequences were brutal. JD McDonough got squashed. Under a minute. Absolutely dominant, no flukes, no near falls, just pure devastation from Oba Femi. But here's the part that actually matters. Here's the part that's got everyone talking today. After the win, Femi didn't grab the mic. He didn't cut a promo about Brock Lesnar like he's done every single week leading up to this. He just turned, looked dead into the hard camera, and gave this look. This cold, controlled, almost eerily calm expression aimed directly at Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. No words, just a warning. And according to plenty of backstage chatter and analysis flying around the wrestling world right now, that silence wasn't an accident. That silence was the entire point. Think about the psychology of it for a second. For months, Oba Femi has been loud. He's called out Heyman directly, he signed contracts on his chest, he screamed about killing the beast incarnate. He's used every ounce of fire and fury to build this rivalry. So when he suddenly goes silent right after an emphatic, dominant win, that's not him running out of things to say. That's him signaling something far more dangerous. That's him saying he's done talking. And Hell in a Cell is where the talking stops entirely. If the creative team is building toward what a lot of fans believe they're building toward, this silent message could be the turning point in how Femi is positioned going into SummerSlam. Up to now, he's been the confident challenger, chasing, screaming, proving himself. But a wordless stare down like that flips the dynamic completely. Suddenly, he's not the guy trying to prove something anymore. He's the guy who already knows what's coming. He's not hunting Brock Lesnar, he's simply waiting for him. And there are a few reasons why this shift makes total sense if WWE is indeed leaning into it. First, it fits the entire arc of this rivalry perfectly. Brock Lesnar built his entire legendary career on intimidation through silence and stillness. Advocates talk for him. He just stands there. And that stillness is terrifying because you don't know what's coming. If Oba Femi is now adopting that exact same energy, that's not a coincidence. That's a passing of the torch happening in real time, not through words, but through presence. The hunted becoming just as dangerous, just as quiet, just as unpredictable as the hunter. Second, it raises the stakes for Hell in a Cell in a way that promos alone can't. We've heard Femi talk about killing the beast incarnate. We've heard the trash talk, the Tide series, the 7F5 survival story. All of that is loud, and loud can start to feel routine after enough weeks of build. But silence, especially from a guy this vocal, creates uncertainty. And uncertainty is what makes a Hell in a Cell match feel genuinely dangerous instead of just another scripted spectacle. And third, and this might be the most important part, it plants the idea that Femi isn't just confident anymore. He's settled. There's a difference between a guy who talks himself into believing he can win and a guy who's already made peace with what he's about to do. That wordless look suggested the second one. And if that's the story WWE is telling heading into SummerSlam, that's the kind of storytelling that turns a really good match into an instant classic. Now, naturally, WWE isn't going to confirm any of this directly. They almost never explain the psychology behind a moment like this in advance. They let the match do the talking. But when you line up everything, the tied record, the survived F5s, the King of the Ring win, and now this eerily calm, silent stare down, the signs are all pointing in the same direction. Oba Femi isn't just preparing for a fight anymore. He's preparing for a statement. And Hell in a Cell might be the exact place he finally gets to deliver it. Not with words, but with everything he's built toward for months. Whether that translates into Femi actually walking out of SummerSlam as the man who ends Brock Lesnar's in-ring career for good, that's the multi-million-dollar question. But one thing is clear after last night. This isn't a rivalry that's cooling down heading into the big stage. If anything, it just got a whole lot more personal and a whole lot more dangerous. Before we wrap up, if you're enjoying this kind of deep dive breakdown, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't yet, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our SummerSlam coverage the second things drop. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think that silent stare down was Oba Femi's way of telling us he's already won this mentally before the bell even rings?
Or is Brock Lesnar about to remind everybody exactly why they call him the Beast Incarnate inside that cell? Drop your prediction in the comments below. I read every single one, and let's get a real debate going before SummerSlam arrives. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.